Getting into the fourth matchup of the day. This is about the time that I tell you, look, this is the fourth place team taking on the 11th place team. So I think we all know what's going to happen. But I think, again, at this point, the way things have turned out, it's anyone's game here. Arial Arise, they're very good, but we know, Cookies, that they can have sketchy moments at times.
Potentially. A lot like every team in this league. You know, you can have a sketchy moment or two. The Nocturnes team you just watched get gasherized. You know, Arial Arise got nocturned in their first game. They got obliterated on stream. It looked like Nocturnes was the greatest team ever. Or was it Arial Arise falling off? Or, I don't know. That's why we love to play the game. That's why we play the game, so that we can see how the story develops. Because you can make up all kinds of narratives about Arial Rise. You could say, oh, Jay's falling off. You're not seeing his stats right now. Jay's technically, statistically much worse. And Freak, you know, you're looking at the 9 for 11 entry. Those aren't elite numbers. And if you're looking at that, you're like, well, I don't know what Arial Rise is. I'm looking at all these other teams. Maybe there's other better contending teams in this league right now. But Arial Rise has that tendency to surprise you. Even last stage, they were kind of sneaking around. Everybody else was getting all the hype. They were kind of sneaking around. They had a good placing in stage 1. It could happen again this stage 2. But it starts today with this matchup, because I think another loss would be very, very hurtful, especially if it's to Biologic and West Garfield.
Well, yeah, a loss would be hurtful. A loss would be pretty much a nail in the coffin for West Garfield.
If they lose, it's not the end of the world, but that's where I get the lighter and I kind of light it and hold it right next to the jersey, about to set it on fire.
Yep.
They need this win, Connor.
Yes, they do. And they're going up against a pretty decent squad in West Garfield Park, which, just like CJ was saying last stage with Arial Arise, kind of sneak in. So was West Garfield, because they went on a streak in the mid to late season where everything clicked and they started to look really good under Biologic's leadership, which CJ was kind of saying, oh yeah, there's no way Arial Arise loses to Bio. Bio's been doing a pretty good job, and he's got some shooters, mainly Snake. He's the big one who can try to help out. And, you know, in that matchup of Freak versus Snake, that's going to be kind of like what we wanted to shine the spotlight on. That's what everybody needs to keep their eyes peeled for, because in all honesty, with Arial Arise, kill Freak, win round. And with West Garfield, kill Snake, win round. It's pretty easy.
So, Arial Arise, Cookies, we're looking at this. I'm looking at the score sheet right now. They are 2-2. Now, only one regulation win, one overtime win, and then 2 regulation losses. So that 2-2, although they're sitting up in 4th, it's not the best at the moment.
It's polarizing. And saying 4th, there's a whole lot of, like, you lose this game, you might drop to 10th or something. League's very close right now.
Yeah.
Which is why they need this game. Which is why they need to pull out all the stops. In the 4 maps we've seen out of them, it's been very basic maps, okay? It's not been the most complex. And we've seen them play the banks, the themes, dare I say they played Skyscraper, unless my memory ain't there. You know what I'm saying.
Last time they played Skyscraper, it was ridiculous, and they looked so good.
You know what I'm saying, right? Don't act like you don't know what I'm saying. These guys play all the maps. Why are you there should never be an Oregon.
Yeah, right now they're sticking to plans A and B. You know, those are the ones that you kind of expect to show your cards on. You know, I think they need to start going all the way through the filing cabinet and go, yeah, let's whip out the plan T. Let's whip out the plan like V and Z. Let's go all the way to the end. Let's pull the deep strats out like you were saying, because we know they exist. They dry run 50 million hours a day and scrim 32 maps against everybody in the world in all different time zones in all different regions. They don't care about ping. This is the Arial Arise that we know. You know, they have all 7 maps in their pool. Start taking teams to maps that they're not comfortable on. You can do it. Utilize your tools. Quit saving strats. What are you saving them for?
It's also just fundamentals, right? Entry game. It's not really entries on defense. It's more of you getting entried. They're kind of losing a lot of those, an uncharacteristically large amount of them for a team that has Freak on it. Bad executes, bad drone work. It's bad fundamentals, which, you know, I guess maybe that's why. Maybe they had a bad offseason and they're sticking to the fundamental maps because things have fallen off. I don't know.
When you lose somebody like Smitty, it does hurt.
Yeah, he's kind of good, isn't he? He's all right. He's all right, coach.
But he's in a better place called the Parabellum
I think one
House.
thing's for sure. They have all the tools. They just need to use them. at the right times. West Garfield Park now, they basically at this point need to use any tool at any time to get something done.
Yes, because you see that number, the 36% win rate. I called that abysmal because that's their defensive win rate. Sure, you can say, yes, we're in an aggressive meta. Look at the LMGs. It's hard to defend. You shouldn't be dropping a 36 win percentage, and something needs to start happening for West Garfield Park. They need to just crank up the aggression, activate Snake. We haven't seen a whole lot of Snake on Alibi. We saw that last stage, just like we saw this really slow start from the beginning of the stage, CJ. Me and you, we were talking about this team as relegation material, and they have to get relegated. Oh my gosh, last stage. And then guess what they did? They surprised us.
Okay. And you know what else? It's funny. You said bring out the free-flowing defense. It's hilarious because on attack, they're most definitely free-flowing. They're bringing Amaru. They're they're dropping skylights. They're Biles crouch walking around in sense. Like, okay, why? Where's that energy on defense?
Yeah.
Is that the loss of Barring effect? Because Barring used to be the king of that, or what? We'll see if anyone else can rise to that occasion on that team. Because the other thing I really wanted to talk about is, the roles too. Like, I personally am a Rice believer. I think that guy can play Terminator roles, and someone like a Slippery struggling as well. Maybe Rice and Slippery should swap. I don't know. But we should talk about maps now, shouldn't we?
Well,
Probably.
you talked a big game about this massive map pool. We need to see this in action.
Yeah, I'm actually really curious because I did not have time to free fire the ban, so I don't know, guys. West Garfield banning a skyscraper we talked about earlier. That was a skyscraper that was eloquent out of Arial Rise last stage. Bank, same thing, banned. West Garfield banning the Oregon that we've already seen out of Arial Rise as well. So where does that take us, Connor? Kafe.
Takes us to a cafe that we already talked about, West Garfield Park, where it's dropping out of skylights and doing shenanigans.
That's what I was talking about, this map.
So not necessarily the best showing from them on this map versus an Arial Arise that we haven't really seen their cafe in quite a while. Every time, kind of the only time I remember this roster playing cafe was back in the Forest era, where he jumped out of mining window and whiffed the entire mag on the player
Forrest was here to talk
up.
about this one. I'd love for him to defend why the hell he did that. But it's a different area, as she said. This
yeah. I think, but the main thing is with Arial Rise, they haven't really been perma-banning this map as much. They've been leaving it up a lot. And I think it really does cater to the new playstyle that they're bringing. And I kind of like the fit.
Well, the other thing too, jumping back to your previous comment, let's throw out the predictions. Connor, every time we seem to hype up this roster, although it's been in different iterations, we hype them up as these 9-to-5ers, the guys that never quit. They practice nonstop. Every time we do the overhyping, I just gotta say, take it with a grain of salt. Maybe take it back a bit, Connor, on that one.
Yeah,
because...
maybe, just maybe. But, all three of us right here, we predicted Arial Rise. Right to the right, if you cut a line where mine is, and then go to the right, those people are all not on camera right now, and they all have lower prediction percentages than the three of us. So that means that we know everything and we're fully correct. And like I was saying earlier, I like this Arial Rise Cafe. They left it up. They banned the clubhouse, make sure that was gone. And I like the direction potentially that we can see them go. With Cafe, it can kind of go into a very attacker-sided, simplified game with not a lot of utility. Or Arial Rise will have that opportunity on their defensive side to really bring a whole lot of utility. You're going to see the cigar holds and all these other things that for West Garfield Park, if they're not fully practiced on this map, they might struggle to clear.
Cookies, I gotta ask the question. I'm afraid a little bit for the answer, because I don't want to bring in negativity per se.
I love negativity. I thrive off it.
Does West Garfield Park have a hope here? Is there a way that you can see them doing this?
Unless Freak comes into this game and his shoes aren't tied, and he trips and falls. That's the only way West Garfield will win this game. I think this is the game. Freak's had a kind of a whatever stage. I think this is a game unironically he'll drop like 1 million kills on these guys. I think.
So basically what you're saying is
game.
There's nothing West Garfield Park can do. They just have to hope that Arial Arise steps on their own shoes and hands them a victory. Is that what you're getting at?
That's what I think. Okay. And
Well,
you know, I'm the analyst. So what I think matters, okay?
It's not impossible. Wait, hey, it always matters. Of course it does.
Matters a lot.
I'm not chirping you here. I'm laughing at the situation because, I mean, at this point, it seems like the game is in the hands of Arial Arise, but now it's time to put words into action. They're moving into this this map on Kafe. 4th different map of the day. We'll throw it to the casters.
Thanks, Brim. It's good to be back and getting into this one. And of course, Harrison, it's good to be. Wait a minute. Wait a minute here.
Dude,
something is not right. Something is not
You can't do this
right.
bit. I've been here for 8 games this weekend. Like, if you're confused as to why Harrison is not here, you simply have not been paying attention to challenge.
That's my bad. That's my bad. Well, Carter, it's great to be casting with you again. And I'm excited for this one because Arial Arise, they have a lot to prove here. They have not had the stage they were hoping for so far.
No, and certainly the same can be said for West Garfield Park. As Connor mentioned, West Garfield Park started to come up a little bit towards the end of stage 1, but then later on, as we've had in this stage, still down 0-2 so far. And Arial Arise, as you also said, not having nearly as clean of a stage as they would hope. But then again, when they were Wichita Wolves and now in the Arial Arise, Jonah, they always seem to make it stressful for us. They always create enough indecision, enough uncertainty where we think maybe they'll lose it. And even when they win, they keep it close.
Surprising, though, that a team of this caliber that we've seen for so many years, right, has had such inconsistencies. It's a team that I personally like to see when they're firing on all cylinders and they look composed, like, I guess you could say about any team. But I guess it's shocking that they've had, the loss to Nocturnes early, a loss to LSR, and then a squeaking out of an overtime win against the Unemployment Boys. So we'll see what they can do against West Garfield. Both of these teams looking to prove themselves here, and Kafe hopefully is the perfect place to do it. These teams should know the map well, they should know each other well, and these operator bans aren't too shocking right off the bat.
No, the desk was talking about Freak maybe getting a 1,000,000 kill game, and West Garfield Park aren't taking any chances that Freak will have his favorite operator, the Finca, so synonymous with each other, I literally, on the fly muscle memory, accidentally combined their names. Azami and Valkyrie, both being the 2 defensive bans, and again, this makes sense for Kafe. Azami could be a very strong operator on Kafe. Saw West Garfield Park ban her yesterday as well, so seeing both her and Valkyrie off the board, not surprising whatsoever.
Well, diving into round 1 in just a moment, we get a bit clearer picture of exactly what Arial Arise are trying to do on their defense, starting downstairs in the kitchen. And bringing out the Echo is not too surprising, but it's something specifically that I like to see. Those yokai drones, I feel like often they are underutilized on a lot of these maps, especially in the meta that we're in right now. But seeing Mo bring that out, always encouraging. When we do see those yokais, it is often on a site like this, on a site where we often see attacking teams work their way in at the last second, and you can tuck and hide those yokai drones in a couple different positions in the kitchen site and spring them into action when you need. Sometimes we'll even see Mo take those yokai drones and use them all over the map and enable a roam game or something like that. But just looking at this operator selection, looking at the way this site is being set up, looks like we're going to see more of an extension on that first floor rather than an extension to those top floors.
Yeah, we see the freezer hatch reinforced as well, and again, as you said, that plus the overall lineup and general site construction from Arial Arise indicate they'll be spreading out horizontally and not focusing too much vertically. And that might honestly be good, considering the yokai's impact on that bakery site, as you mentioned. Just putting it in even one position might be able to spot the default freezer plant, and maybe even wherever they try, or where the attackers try to push in through bakery if they go for a direct. Of course, nothing concrete from West Garfield Park just yet. We do have a Sens on the board coming out from Biologic. As CJ mentioned yesterday, he was able to take Sens upstairs, crouch walk through that top floor, and get 3 kills dropping down into freezer hatch as well. West Garfield Park hopefully won't let things come down to that close of a margin today as opposed to before, because they definitely struggled in clearing out positions like the one Freak is playing yesterday.
Well, I like that you bring the hatch drop up, Carter, because I feel like that is where Sens has been pretty crazy powerful, right? I didn't think that's how they were going to be utilized as much. I figured it would be more, here's an execute, here's a wall that you can't see through, but instead, it's been a lot of, we're going to just send it down this hatch, and now you don't have an angle to take us out. A couple of early skirmishes, though, coming out, and Bio does not seem inclined to be using that sends projector through the hatch. Instead, already using 2 of 3, and so far not so effective. 2 of his teammates have fallen. Both Slippery and Valor are done. You're losing your Maverick at this point in the round. Sure, you get a trade onto Freak, but taking down the Malusi and losing your Mav and your Zofia, not the best trade for the attack.
No, West Garfield Park got a very good kill taking Freak out from that position. As I mentioned, they had some trouble clearing that out yesterday, but now having full bottom white control, if they want to go for a freezer plant, it's going to be a lot easier, and that's probably for the best, because it seemed like West Garfield Park were also contemplating a bakery direct with 2 to 3 attackers stationed over in that area, and with that Maverick off the board, it's not as easy to use that traditional operator to go with it. But thankfully for West Garfield Park, not only is there no hard breach denial for Arial Arise, there's also another hard breacher on the board. Rice running with that Hibana still has 18x Kairos to open up that bakery wall if they want to, and combine that with the control they got earlier on, clearing out VIP, taking down Freak to the bottom of white stairs. Even though they are in the man disadvantage, they have a lot of control, but Arial Arise can still play these trades.
And they're just going to be playing aggressively. Jay taking the fight, Reed taking the fight, and getting 2 kills. It's all up to Snake with very few options here. He's able to get 1 back onto Jay, but with both Reed Adams and Reed Sync playing close on this position, the toxic smokes coming out, there is not much that Snake is going to be able to do to work his way through this crossfire. Hasn't even dealt with Mo sitting over in coat check. This one going to take a miracle. He'll send it through the gas, hoping to just dart in under the cover of smoke, but that is not going to happen for Snake. A valiant effort, but really with early gunfights and early kills, there was no doubt that Arial was going to take that round.
And West Garfield Park seemed to be very indecisive throughout the remainder of that round. Again, they got a very good kill onto Freak early on, able to take down that player inside of VIP. And again, if they wanted to go for a freezer drop, that's an important player dealt away with in the first minute. But unfortunately, they lose 2 bodies in the process, and at that point, despite the fact they still have a Hibana on the board, they want to go upstairs and get that dining hatch. They have plenty of hard breach to do so. They still want to open up some angles in bakery wall. They have some options to do that as well. But West Garfield Park never really fully committed to any of them. They just start walking up long, walking towards the site, and end up dying in the process. I think maybe West Garfield Park, if they were able to come up with a more decisive strategy, we might have seen that round go a different way, even though they were in the disadvantage.
Well, heading upstairs now, Arial Arise will be looking to replicate some of that success, but with a different strategy, right? Bringing out the castle, bringing out the warden, hoping for a bit more of an anchor focus and likely some strong piano play. You combine that with the projectile denial that Jay and Mo are bringing to the table here, and likely we're going to see a pretty strong hold of either piano or cigar, right? We do see both of those holds pretty common. You've got those Surya gates set up every which way, and you've got a lot of options with how you want to play it. On the side of the attack, we are also going to see a bit of a change, right? Valor bringing out the Nook, and we're going to have Bio switching over to the Sledge, not bringing out the Sens again. Now, the Sledge on this top floor, inconsistent with actually how effective it can be, especially because there's no vertical. But when you see the castle picked on the defensive side, might as well bring that extra soft destruction so you can deal with those barricades as quickly as you can.
Yeah, Bio on the Sledge yesterday against One Shot was liking to go on that white repel, try and, one, put some pressure on that player playing pallets, and also cut off Mo's rotation, or anybody playing in Pixel, cut off their rotation back over towards pallets to join the rest of his teammates. Could be susceptible to a run out like he was yesterday, but doesn't even seem to be the focus, or what is something even West Garfield Park is worried about. They are very, very fixated on this Humidor position and trying to clear out Reed Adams from inside the spot. Sometimes attacking teams can get tripped up, just funnel down the hatch and die to the shotgun, so we'll need to make sure that West Garfield Park are using those nades effectively, and if those fails, not just funneling one by one into Reed Adams.
Well, as you mentioned it, Carter, we did see a nade get thrown in by Biologic, right? Sending that one towards Freezer, but that's not the most important point right now. As you mentioned, they need to focus on Cigar and getting that player out of Humidor, otherwise they're not going to be able to progress on that Nubalk position or on the top of Red Stairs. Right now, and just in time, they are pivoting over to the other side in an effort to do that, but Valor, in the meantime, well, he was sneaking down below. Jay had no idea, thinking that he was clean to rotate over the entire map. Now he knows, well, that he can't do that. He's dead, and Valor is now unnoticed. Now that he's been spotted out, he will be able to get those nades going, though, and, well, Reed Adams is just going to start sending it at him, I guess. That's an aggressive way to deal with a single attacker sitting down below, but, well, you take the 1v1 and you win it. I guess that's something.
Valor on that Nook, trying to just make sure that anybody that drops down those hatches are cut off on those rotations. Bio's position on the white repel uncontested. Freak falling as he pushes aggressively up that hallway. West Garfield Park have managed to clear out Cigar fairly effectively. There's still a castle barricade separating them from establishing full control inside of Christmas as well, but they have this man advantage, and while they're struggling to get the hard breaching down, even if they have to flood this site, they still have an advantage, and that just might be enough.
Oh, here it is. Bio is able to clean up Mo with a nice angle that, again, Mo was just not expecting. It's going to be Reedsink who has to go big here. He's able to whip around and get one. The UMP delivers, but he's not looking the right way when Slippery swings the corner. Reed Adams is the last player standing, and he still hasn't come back upstairs ever since he took the down to take care of Valor. He's going to have to work his way back up straight into the waiting arms of the Twitch. Slippery cleans him up, and quickly, West Garfield Park answer.
Really like the Nook play from Valor in round number 2. Just waiting down below, seeing to make sure not only if he can get those nades onto Cocktail, but just waiting to see if anybody is roaming down below from Arial Arise. He finds one on the Aruni, but more so focused on getting those nades than actually watching to see if there are people on the flank. Takes a 50-50 with the player inside of red and ends up falling as a result. But West Garfield Park still have that advantage because of the second kill they got with Biologic on that white repel. We saw One Shot deal with Bio pretty effectively yesterday by running out of Bakery and dealing away with that position. But since West Garfield Park were able to keep that position in their control the whole time, they can make sure that Arial can't really play in that white hall very effectively, and then West Garfield Park, since Bio has that under control, can start focusing on pushing into the site, going on repel in various positions, and it was that opening kill from Valor that made things a lot better as the man count started to get whittled down.
So Arial weren't able to replicate that first round success like they hoped they would do. That top floor hold just got picked apart slowly, one kill at a time. West Garfield worked their way in, and as you highlighted, Carter, one of those key moments was, right, Valor sneaking in below, just catching Jay off guard, cleaning up that entry kill, and all of a sudden, it was Arial Arise on the back foot instead of West Garfield forced to slow down. But Arial Arise will pivot. They're not going to want to go the same route again. We're going to see a different site, and not the site we might expect. Instead of Reading coming out, it's going to be Mining in Fireplace, the other sister tertiary, or in this case, quaternary bomb site. But it's going to be a tough one to defend, and they're going to have to worry about West Garfield and several approaches that they could take for this one.
Typically, we see teams just try to funnel up red stairs and, well, try to put some pressure onto Mining and combine that with some vertical control up top. Maybe even go for a dining plant if they can manage it and get full control over the bomb site. Depends on a lot of factors. Kind of as you said, a lot of different approaches. You could lean more into the horizontal instead of the vertical, or lean more into the vertical as opposed to the horizontal, but still maybe end up at the same place either way, depending on what you can get. They will have to turn their attention to that top floor, though. They can't just let the Wamai have potential control of Christmas and leave that up to Arial Arise to rotate or retake later on. Mohes just sitting behind the shield right now, can still layer Magnet on top of Magnet, holding out that position for a long time, but West Garfield Park already starting to move down, and that utility will likely push Mo back in no time at all.
He actually is aggressively taking the fight. We saw him swing and land a bullet or two onto Biologic. The Sledge now slightly lower on HP, but both players still comfortable to play this round like they would have otherwise. West Garfield, they're going to have a little more intel to work with, though, this time. Rice has spotted out someone downstairs on his drone, and, well, 2 kills are found by Snake in the meantime. Snake gets 3. Where is this happening? Just walking up into the middle of this top floor hold. Well, not anymore, I guess. A top floor hold that's been dismantled. Slippery's going to get back up now, and it's going to be a 5v2 with Reed Adams and Freak, the last 2 players standing. Where did that come from?
Snake just walking up long bar on Cocktail, getting 3 huge kills, clearing out the roam entirely. And I mentioned earlier, if you're able to get a wide amount of vertical control, you can get the site control pretty much for free without much horizontal. Freak gets 1 kill, taking down the menace himself, Snake, but Jonah's still a 1v4, and Slippery, he can clean that up pretty easily.
Yeah, not too much of an issue for him. At that point, the round was already over, since Snake just brute forced his way in that top floor. And unfortunately, we didn't get to see exactly how he was allowed to do that. But you have to assume that something went horribly wrong from Arial Arise.
Yes.
Not usually can somebody on the attacking team just waltz into the setup that you're hoping they walk into, but get through unscathed and get 3 kills.
As a result, West Garfield Park don't need to dump really that much utility. They cleared the pixel shield, but Snake did all the job they needed to with just a few well-placed shots from his ARX and opens the entire thing up for West Garfield Park, and the round was pretty much done at that point. Going back down to Kitchen, which so far, or not Kitchen, Bakery, excuse me, which is the only site that Arial Arise have won so far. And even though West Garfield Park got some impactful picks early on, Arial Arise were still able to get the man advantage, and West Garfield Park struggled to take any decisive action and commit to any one particular strategy going forward, even with still some useful tools at their disposal. Maybe they'll try to focus more on going for that freezer drop if they're able to get the VIP position, then going for vertical later on, or if they want to commit to the bakery, again, trying to open that wall and then going for the vertical as well. But they just kind of half and halved it throughout last time and, well, never really got the best of either option.
Well, Slippery on the hunt here, transitioning over to the Ash. Something we don't see too much these days. But hoping that that explosive utility could aid in some utility clear, potentially, that now that they know they'll be walking into a bakery extension. That extension held right now by Reed Adams and Jay, patiently waiting this assault from West Garfield. And, well, it's about to begin, as you can tell. The drones coming in, Valor trying to take care of some of that utility the drone way instead of with a couple of bullets or with a couple of explosives. And now they're just going to burst their way on in, waiting for the moment to strike, and now stepping up, and look who it is. It's Snake going huge, getting 2. Valor chains another one together and gets a 3rd. Just like that, this round mirroring the previous. It's a 4v2 with freaking Mo very low on options. Mo has to hope that these yokai drones can be in perfect positions to allow his 3 dead teammates to give some good callouts off that, because if not, without the intel and without the man count or really time on their side anymore, this retake, this plant denial is going to be nearly impossible.
Yeah, pretty much. And West Garfield Park will pull back for a little bit, opening up some more holes in that bakery wall. Valor losing a little bit of HP to Freak with that MP5. The smoke starting to go out. The single panel position will be key to decide the fate of this round. That and the Yokais. If either of these falls, that'll be a 3rd one for West Garfield.
Here they come. Rice sneaking his way on in. Doesn't spot the head of Mo, who's sitting right around the corner. Freak is spotted out, though, by Snake. And now with Rice sticking this plant, it'll all come on the shoulders of Mo. Good use of the yokai drone initially, but he knows that's not enough. This is not going to be able to delay the full minute that's on the clock. His position now known, and Snake with a quad kill on the round. What can't he do?
Yeah, Snake so far, insane performance in these past couple rounds. Overall for West Garfield in the past 4 rounds as well, they have been in strong control of the early game. Opening pick, first 3 rounds, untraded by Arial Arise. And then in round number 4, hey, Jonah, Jay did get the opening pick, but as you saw, West Garfield Park answered back with 3, which, even though they didn't get the first kill, I would say that is a little bit more impactful of an early round, even if it just came from flooding in through that bakery double door. At that point, they're just able to get all the kills they need. They clear out Jay just by overwhelming him with people walking into him, as opposed to, you know, trying to throw a nade or do something like that. And then at that point, it really comes down to either Freak able to get enough kills on that single panel, or he can remain alive, contest them, and just kind of annoy them a little bit and let the yokais do the talking. But both the Echo and the Melusi needed to survive because of how much time was remaining. Even after the Echo denied the plant twice, it was still 1 minute and 10 seconds remaining in the round. Once Freak fell, there really wasn't much of a hope for West Garfield unless they either made a huge mistake or we had an insane clutch.
Well, it was timeout time, obviously, for Arial Arise, Carter, as they clearly need to fix some things as they
Agreed.
try to finish out their defensive half with some semblance of strength. Because West Garfield are looking good. They're playing clean right now. And even though they had a couple of hiccups in that first round dealing with that kitchen setup, as we just saw, it didn't give them any problems the second time around. They handled the top floor. They handled the mining site. So Arial Arise, they're going to pull out the only site they haven't tried yet, reading and Fireplace Hall. My only concern here, Carter, is, well, it's probably the obvious. You know what I'm thinking. The top floor hold. Both mining and reading come down to a successful top floor hold. And if you can't do that, and you can't prevent one player from walking in and tearing you apart, I don't know why you're going to expect any different results this time. I suppose that's why Arial Arise have to make a couple of adjustments. Are we going to see less of a top floor hold, less manpower up there? Or are they simply going to add some utility and add some, well, more preparedness? Maybe have another camera or two to prevent Snake from walking in?
Maybe, but the nice thing about reading is you don't need to have as forward-focusing or forward-facing of a top floor hold as you need to on, say, mining, because mining, well, you have to have some presence above the site, and that results in you extending pretty far out on that third floor, whereas with reading, if you want to, you can have some presence in pixel early on, but generally you're going to push maybe into freezer max. Beyond that, you're going to sit on cocktail for a good majority of the time, and that requires Snake to do a little bit more work in pushing forward. And I would say it is a little bit difficult to just rely on individual performances every time, but 2 rounds in a row, Snake has been the one with a multi-kill to open things up. But Arial Arise might have an answer for it. Aruni Gates in the double door, everyone watching long bar, and not playing too aggressive on this top floor hold to try and deny anybody from West Garfield getting a cheeky pick.
Well, no cheeky picks at least a minute into this round. No one's sneaking in the building, nor is anyone crouch walking or sprinting into any defender. Okay, I lied. Finally, that's going to happen, and it's going to be Valor creeping up the red stairs into what looked like a completely unaware Reed Adams. Can Valor find another? Yeah, that was easy. Freak gets one back, but it simply doesn't matter. Slippery cleans him up. It's all up to Mo, dropping down from the top ropes, DMR in hand, and missing his shots. Another round for WGP.
Instead of trying to clear the top floor like you and I assumed, reasonably speaking, that they would, we have a couple players, 1 or 2, sit outside the doorway, that outside doorway that is right next to the entrance to reading, and then a couple players pushing up red as well. West Garfield Park wait to gather intel, they bide their time, and then similar to how they clear Jay's position out of Bakery, a call comes in and everyone starts flooding into the site. Valor opens things up by just sitting over on red stairs, able to take down Reed Adams fairly early on, and then everyone from West Garfield Park just sends it into reading, and they're able to overwhelm the defense. I imagine they have someone on the cocktail rappel as well to make sure that they are still somebody to contest that potential vertical control. But even then, even if there was nobody there, the flood still ends up working out. They take complete control of the site, and even if Arial Arise still had some vertical angles, everyone that was on the middle floor was dead by the time they could react.
Well, so much for the timeout.
Yeah.
Didn't seem to work too well for Arial Arise, as that round was actually the worst one yet, it really feels like.
Snake didn't kill them all this time.
Right, I mean, at least it wasn't on one person to do all the work on West Garfield. They spread the love around, and they really allowed each other to get all the kills together instead of an individual. I mean, shout out Arial Arise for allowing West Garfield to get more kills per person, right? Per capita. I mean, great. That's exactly what you're looking for. No, that's not what we're looking for, Carter. We're looking for some adjustments. We're looking for Arial Arise to find the defense that we know they have. Because on Kafe, you lose most of your defensive rounds, you're not in good shape, no matter what. I mean, you go into your attacking half, maybe they can pull out something crazy, but generally this map is not this heavily attacker favored.
Yeah, it started to move towards the attack a little bit recently, just as the map's been figured out, and sites like Cocktail certainly aren't great for the defense, but yeah, as you said, a 5-1 defensive half for Arial Arise, or a 1-5, no. Not that attacker-sided whatsoever. Mo and Jay have also been spotted fairly early on. I think Jay might have destroyed the drone that's been sitting inside of reading, but Slippery is already putting some pressure on that position, and with the Dokkaebi calls coming in as well, West Garfield Park have the utility and hopefully the positioning to deal with these players. Freak gets aggressive, but he walks right into Slippery, and I bet he regrets giving that opening to West Garfield Park.
Well, there's a kill from Mo, getting one back, and that is something. Really the only positive we've seen from Arial Arise since round 1, getting an early trade and equalizing early on. But West Garfield, I don't think they're going to slow down very much here. They have, obviously, 1 kill, and they have a tremendous amount of momentum, right? You combine that with the Amaru on Rice, and we could see something pretty aggressive pretty quickly. No hatch that we're probably going to see Rice spring into, but it's very likely that we could see a window jump in or something more aggressive on the other side of the map. But as I say that, they are clearing their way down below in what looks like it is going to be some kind of hatch play. No. Okay, I lied. He's going to rotate his way around, and West Garfield are indeed going to take a bit more time before they actually make this push.
He's likely going to fly into that cocktail balcony, try to catch the defense completely off guard. Slippery with the buck will open up the floor beneath that cocktail balcony as well to provide quite a lot of pressure. That does leave... Oh, no. Rice isn't just going to cover, Jonah. He's going in for the plant. He's got the diffuser in hand, but taking out Reed Adams, that Maestro just on the opposite side, that is going to be the player they need to kill if they want any chance of succeeding.
Well, here he comes. Rice on the swing, and a good pre-fire gets him that, but Mo gets one back immediately. So does Jay. Now a double kill with an option to get this plant down now, and he will. He'll go to stick this. The smoke not on its target, so Reed, he's just going to have to walk up and get the kill the old-fashioned way. He does that beautifully. Bio now out to dry himself. He's got to get this diffuser or find these 2 kills. Well, 1 kill in the next 15 seconds. Reed Sync has been downed, and Mo should not be able to recover him here. Here comes the drop, but unfortunately for West Garfield Park, Bio is looking the wrong way, so a quick swing from the cocktail side will give Arial Arise their second and final defensive round.
Half bookended by Arial Arise victories on the defense, but filled in between with a lot of West Garfield Park excellence. That entire round, by the way, at the absolute worst, in round number 4, West Garfield Park lost the opening duel, but immediately traded it back. Beyond that, they got the opening pick every single time, and in 2/3 of the rounds, Arial Arise couldn't even respond with anything. In that round, though, it was not won in the early game by Arial Arise, though some potential damage was mitigated, despite the fact that Rice was able to take down the Maestro as he hopped into Cocktail Balcony. Arial Arise were still able to get enough kills and bringing it down to a 2v2. That Bio's position on Rappel could not cover enough. Well, it could see the position, I believe, where Rice ended up dying from, but there was just too much that Bio had to consider. Maybe somebody coming in from Freezer, coming in from White, and as we saw, coming in from the site as well. But Arial Arise was still able to just get enough kills to make it very improbable that Bio could cover effectively.
Time to switch things around, Carter. Switching halves. Arial Arise, they've got a chance to kind of hit the reset button, essentially, right? They don't have to worry about slowing down West Garfield, about stopping that attacking aggression. Now they're attacking. They can set the pace of the round if they want. Of course, you got to avoid maybe a spawn peek or a C4 first. If you can do that, it's your job to set the pace and get in the building. They've got the Ying, they've got those Candelas. They could spring into action early if they wanted to. And it does look like they will avoid a bad C4 toss and Snake telegraphing his position. So early on, unscathed, and they can move along with relative ease. What? What? Please don't tell me Freak just walked in that window after seeing the drone spot Snake. Now Snake, he can hunt these 2 players down.
Yeah, I guess maybe Freak, not exactly knowing who he was peeking, but considering the 2 rounds the Snake has had, keep in mind, 7 of the 8 kills he has, by the way, came in 2 separate rounds, but Snake is definitely still feeling the momentum from earlier on. Does waste to C4, unfortunately. That's the only one that the defense has, so not great that very useful bit of secondary utility lost early on, and Freak will be revived as well, but Slippery, oh, Jonah, he might be going for the cleanup duty. Might be vaulting out this window, and with one person on Arial Arise watching just above. I don't know if they're on Rappel. They might not be able to catch it, but no. Slip will back off instead, but Snake has still done enough in just scaring Arial Arise early on.
Ooh, but Slippery has this nice angle. He's not going to get one because smartly, Mo will jump in the other window, but he'll walk into Snake either way. Snake will now disappear and avoid getting traded, but Bio's the one in a bit of danger. There's somebody below him, and does he know? Yes, it does look like it. I don't know how that exchange just played out, how ReedSync didn't see him, but then Bio whips around and gets one through the wall. What can't he do? A big question mark there, and I agree with him. I'm not sure how that scuffle on the stairs went the defensive way, went the West Garfield way, but I guess they're happy to take that round and a flawless one at that.
Now, started out with Snake taking down the Zofia, but Arial Arise revive him, and I'm like, okay, maybe we'll get things back on track. Maybe we'll... Oh, nope, everyone is funneling in through 2 separate windows, except a couple players down below, but we will get to that later in about 15 to 20 seconds. Arial Arise just hopping into that middle floor, not trying to clear Pixel up top or not trying to really get much control on that top floor early on, focusing entirely on clearing out that middle floor, which, to be fair, bringing a buck, you will usually see teams go for that cocktail take, open up that bottom floor. But West Garfield Park, once they might have realized that, they started putting more and more bodies down below, not only to maybe deny what Arial Arise were going for, but to support Snake down below. And then Arial Arise, kind of like Freak's initial entry, might have been operating off of too little intel, but definitely just funneling into West Garfield Park's crosshairs and giving a very easy victory in round number 7.
And now, I guess, Arial Arise are in the same position they were in just a few rounds ago, with a troubling start to a half. And they've got to bounce back soon. They no longer have a second half cushion. It's only 2 rounds before West Garfield could claim that win, an outright win here in regulation. What Arial Arise are trying to avoid, they would like to avoid a 3rd loss just in these first few play days this stage. They've got to put something together if they want to stave that off, right? You've got ReedSync transitioning to the Ash, maybe hoping to get a bit more aggressive, but oh no! That is gonna hurt. The run out from Snake and the kill early on.
Snake is fighting the mental game right now, not just by getting aggressive, but also being an all-chat warrior at the moment. I feel like I'm watching Kool-Aid play right now. West Garfield Park do actually lose one. Snake sitting right below that new hatch does give himself up a little bit, maybe typing a little bit too fervently. But still, Arial Arise right now, in their overall play, this just does not look like Arial Arise. They are skipping steps. They are leaving gaps on their attacks and their defenses before them. And while they are able to answer back on Snake, Bio might still be able to take one down on Red. And I say that not because Arial Arise aren't, good or could take him down easily. They could if they pinch him out, but it seems like West Garfield Park are going into these fights with a lot more confidence.
Well, and with some utility at the helm too, right? Arial Arise are going to be starting things off, at least trying to continue this round with a bit more calm, like you suggested, Carter. But so far, no actual kills, no actual explosions, but they've at least dealt with some utility. We're hearing those Flores drones come in from Reed Adams, destroying a bit more of that defensive setup, maybe forcing Slippery, who's tucked in the bathroom up above, to get a bit more active, but he's going to stay patient, as will Biologic, tucked down below, surprisingly on the smoke. He's on the site here, backing off as this top floor hold starts to crumble. Jay is able to get one right after his teammate fell alongside him. So back and forth still, but the top floor hold, at least on the positive side for Arial Arise, has been dismantled.
Yes. Been dismantled. They have that full vertical control, and they might just get another kill. Yes, Biologic rotates in front of White, but Freak doesn't take that opportunity just yet. The smoke grenade staves him off, and they'll play a little bit safer. They don't have Mohes, so if they want to get vertical control or get vertical holes opened up, all they have are these Rotero drones if they want to make use of it. That means they're likely just going to have to flood into mining, and even in a 2v3, Rice and Valor might be able to play off of these angles if Arial Arise just funnel, and Jonah, they've done that a few times now.
Yeah, this is certainly not over yet. There's only 25 seconds, so whatever the push here comes from Arial Arise, it's going to be a little bit rushed. And West Garfield, they can take advantage of that. Valor has a really good angle to work with here all the way to that mining window. He can spot the jump in, and that's an easy kill for him. He's got the diffuser in his sights. Rice will pick up that kill onto Freak, and it is all up to Jay. What has happened here? 3 seconds, Rice shuts him down, and West Garfield take another round, but one that didn't look like they should have taken.
No, all Rice and the remaining players for West Garfield Park need to do with that little time remaining and the sledge dying early on is just play inside of the site. Valor having that angle behind the shield is so powerful. And Arial Arise, if they wanted to make it work, probably sending him down red would have been the safer option, because if you vault in, you just have to win the fight with him. And with Valor sitting behind the shield, that is a very tall task. Because of the lower man count as well, I think Rice, either he managed to evade the vertical control or that was the kill he got on that top floor. So still a very big pick by him as well, but losing that sledge early on and not having any further options to open up vertical holes, that allowed Rice and Valor to remain in their positions and make that 2v3 clutch happen once Arial Arise started moving into the site.
Well, with that, Carter, it is match point. And just given the way that this match is going, there is no reason to suspect, no reason to think that Arial Arise could make a comeback.
Really? You don't think they have it?
I don't think they have it, man. I mean, we've seen some good stuff from them in the past, right?
Yes.
Obviously, they can play well, but I have no idea what they're doing right now, Carter. It's just some team that we're just not familiar with. The only option they have here, and it's a realistic one, the only chance they have here is if Snake keeps getting aggressive and Arial Arise take care of him. If more players on West Garfield get too aggressive for their own good. We saw some awkward positioning from Biologic on the smoke in that last round, right? Maybe a bit too aggressive for his own good. If several players on West Garfield Park do that, I think Arial Arise can take advantage and claw this back. But other than that, it's not looking good.
It's also just worrisome because they've already taken that tactical timeout. The moment to get the train back on the tracks has already passed. Use another train analogy. It's left the station. It's gone now. I don't have a third one, unfortunately, so that's all you're gonna get.
I have
but
to
the point
consult
is,
Brim on that.
yeah, we'll talk to Brim in between breaks and we'll get it in for Game 5. So apologies for no third train analogy here. But Arial Arise, this system, at least in containing West Garfield, it hasn't worked. And when it comes to the individual play to maybe answer back Snake's own aggression, they're entering these fights looking like they already feel that they're going to lose it before they even take it. Reedsink has got some very nice control. He's made his way on the middle floor, and there is one West Garfield Park defender, Valor, currently sitting on that hatch, but it's opened up. He's very close to it. He's just waiting to rotate back down, and Rice behind him is making sure that nobody from Arial Arise pushes in, and what do you know? Both fall back.
Yeah, we just saw the same defensive play on both the white side and the red side. We saw a pair of defenders working together to make sure they could each fall back safely. And guess what? They both did it. Even though I implied that West Garfield are probably going to get aggressive and they're probably going to let the confidence get the best of them, maybe through the first 60 seconds, yes, but they immediately went back to the site when they felt threatened. That's really good discipline, and it's showing that West Garfield want to put this one away as soon as possible.
Vertical control upstairs, as thankfully this go around, not only is the sled still alive, but Arial Arise also bringing a buck to make sure that even if one soft destructor falls, they still have one left over to take advantage. Also, still 7 drones alive, so could still actively gather intel or watch any flanks, but that's not something you can easily spot. Valor C4's read from below, that's your Hibana gone. Thankfully for Arial Arise, the freezer hatch is already open, but oh no, Jonah. Slip is wanting to get one more.
Oh no. He just walks up the stairs. I mean, it's not a big brain flank here. He's challenging head on into this Arial Arise attack, and there is no answer in sight. Finally, Jay will get a kill back and do some dent to a insurmountable defense at this point, but it's a 4v2. West Garfield looking good, playing confidently. Bio taking the fight against Reedsink. Jay is last alive, face full of smoke, in the middle of the site, actually, with defenders everywhere. That wasn't even close.
Not close whatsoever. We all predicted Arial Arise, and Connor claimed that the people on screen right now, oh, we know what we're talking about. We were all full of it. None of us knew what was going on. West Garfield Park recover from their 7-4 loss to One Shot with an even more dominant victory over their Arial Arise opponents. And one thing, Jonah, that I imagine they'll elaborate more about on the desk, but I can't stop looking at, West Garfield Park had dominant control in that early round, winning the entry or at worst having it traded in every single round. The last one not being an exception to that rule. That was a West Garfield Park that I think that we all knew they had the potential to play at, but if you wanted Snake unleashed and if you wanted this roster unleashed, this was the game that you were hoping for.
I will give you that one, Carter. They had the early round, it was great. But mid-round and late round, they had it too. To be fair, they had it all right there. And Arial Arise, there was nothing that they could do, even when they went into the mid-round with relatively even amount of bodies. When they went into the late round, going into that execute phase, which they only got to a couple of times, there was almost nothing that they could do. It was somebody from West Garfield Park swinging them, stepping up, and taking that fight, and honestly making it look easy. But like you said, let's let the guys who know what they're talking about break this one down a little bit more. We'll pass it back to the analyst desk.
Hindsight is 20/20 cookies, and looking back at this one now, you made the call, you made the prediction that if West Garfield Park were to win, it would only be because of the failings of Arial Arise. What are your thoughts now? Did West Garfield Park earn this in your eyes?
You set me up. First off, you set me up for that question. Okay. Second, I just want to issue a public, profuse apology to the people, the fans, the families of West Garfield Park. I want to apologize to Slippery's kid, and I would like to apologize.
Lil Slip Jr.?
Lil Slip. I had absolutely no faith. Okay? I had zero faith. Zero. Let me remind you, I had zero faith. Okay? And Arial Rise just came out and they looked like a limp piece of pasta. And you know what? I don't even know how to explain it. Forceful knows these guys well. I asked him, Forceful, what the hell? What's wrong with them? I don't think even he could explain what we just watched. Just a dismantling, snakes typing whatever to him. I just would like to apologize to Biologic for not believing in him. And I will never do that again. That's all I could say. There's no analysis. I just apologize profusely. I think we should all apologize.
So
You're all wrong.
Your point, I'm gathering, is that West Garfield Park definitely did earn this.
They were biblical. They
But
were biblical
Connor-
today. Yes.
Connor, in the same breath, in the same token, what was not working for Arial Arise? What was it about their game that they just could not get together? They couldn't gather any momentum. They had, I think Carter brought it up at the end there. One entry kill. One. They got 2 rounds. They got even less entry kills.
Yeah, I'm just trying to check my imaginary watch to see if I have enough time to talk about all the things that went wrong for Arial Arise, because like you just said, one entry pick when you have freaking Mo on a team is rough. These are players that are touted as some of the best in all of Challenger League.
Yeah.
They're the ones getting the T1 offers and, hey, you want to come try out for us? They're scrimming the good teams. People are saying, hey, guess what? They're next up on the block. But then all of a sudden, it's like this team doesn't have the proper direction for so long. Every past iteration of this roster has had 2 big things. They've had Forrest as a shot caller who can make those micro plays and, hey, I see this, let's try to go. They've had Call Out, who's now coaching Astralis. Guess what? If you are a good coach, you probably were a pretty dang good IGL. And they're missing that. They don't have direction. There's so much that has been rough on the side of this Arial Arise team that we were saying maybe we're going to burn the jerseys. It's getting pretty dang close to that point.
Well, let's not get there yet. Let's not sound the alarms. What we should do, though, is end this match on a positive note. Let's talk to Bio. Let's find out a few things about the winning team. Bio, first and foremost, and I don't know if you heard Cookies there. We profusely apologize in not believing in this team. But I do have to say, this was not just a win. This was a massive turnaround for you guys to get this first win. What started clicking?
I think, to say the least, like, we played the 2 hottest teams in CL first, like 1-2, and then not only we played them, then we had to do like some internal things. Like one of the guys on my team, we didn't even know if we were gonna play with like a full 5 today. We had to like play with our coach, so we had that. But luckily, he was able to play, and then I think that just gave us like energy. And then knowing that we're playing Arial, that they were a top 2 team last stage, but this stage you can tell in their map ban phase like something's off with them. So we just felt good playing them today.
So was this the kind of thing where you just turn to like Snake and Slippery and you just say, go for it?
I think trying to get Slip comes from a different style. Like you see the one shot guys, they play a way different style than us. So getting Slip, like he can play a lot more loose, and we kind of play a lot more loose, a lot more free. There's a lot more communication which comes with that. So Slip's just getting used to that style, and I think today, like he just went with it.
Now, is there, moving forward in this stage, is there a bit of a weight lifted off your shoulders with this victory?
It definitely feels good to win. We felt like we dominated, controlled them. I mean, the past games, like our first game versus I don't know what their name is. I think it's like Xset or something. But our first game versus them, we were up 5-3, and then they just came back because people were just hitting nasty shots. And then versus One Shot, we just, it was close, and then they just made plays, and we tried to like exploit their site. So I think feeling for us, it was a lot closer, and we watched the film. I felt like it was a lot closer, but obviously we got blown out versus them.
Well, hey, you didn't lose the 5-3 this time around. You were able to close out the game. So congratulations again, Bio, and best of luck in the rest of the stage.
Thank you. I love you,
Have a good
Cookies.
one. Cookies getting the shout out there. Feels good. Feels good. Okay. That was, you know, I don't want to take away from their victory. Obviously, well earned, but definitely took us all by surprise. There is one more match, though, to go in the day. It's going to be unemployment.
Also, before we say anything, there was only one off-stream game today. Luminosity Gaming versus Took the Kids. And guess what? Everybody except Crow got it correct. Poor Harrison. It's his birthday, but he still couldn't get that right. 7-5 victory for Took the Kids.
Well, the final matchup of the day coming up after the break will be Unemployment taking on One Shot. You're not going to want to miss it. We'll be right back.